The BSc IDMHR is quite a unique course. In actual fact, there isn't a course like it in the UK that focus on the 4 elements of health, humanitarianism, disaster management, and peace and security. We try to prepare students to understand those events, to understand the decision-making associated with those events, and to help them follow a career path which will enable us to deal with those events better.
I came across this degree at University of Manchester when I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to study. I knew I wanted to be in a people-centred career and I wanted to help people in disadvantaged situations.
I'd looked a little bit at kind of global development courses, and it was through that page in Manchester that it directed me back to IDMHR, and I realised that there was a lot more breadth in that degree and what I could study, and it was all completely person-focused and looking at what you could do for people in all different contexts and in all different ways, and it gave me the flexibility to work out my niche within that, having started at uni already.
So for example, if you're like me and you're interested in the natural environment, you could follow a pathway through disaster management and focus on hazards like flooding. However, if you're interested in humanitarian response and working for an NGO, you can follow modules that would lead you to be able to respond to an event.
The best thing about the course for me is that it's a relatively small cohort size, and this means that lectures are much more engaging than they would normally be. We're never really being spoken at for an hour or two. We're always encouraged to bring up what we think, how we feel about what we've learned, and that tends to lead to a discussion because we're all very different people within the course and we all have different life experiences which impact what we think about what we've learned, and it allows us to relate other things we've learned outside the course to what we're learning in the moment.
I've honestly found all of my disaster management and humanitarian response modules interesting through my 3 years here. I would say one that particularly stood out to me was disaster mobilities of climate change, which I did in 2nd year with Stephanie Sodero.
We feel at HCRI, we not only bring you the theoretical understanding, that you've got the opportunity to undertake fieldwork, work within organisations, learn the soft skills that will actually develop you as a person to, one, be able to deal with those difficult circumstances, respect different cultures from around the world, but also to kind of then lead you on to working in organisations going forward.
So I think the course has helped me academically in terms of I'd never written an essay before I came to uni and I hadn't really done that much research. So it's allowed me to learn how to write academically, research academically. And then from a more sort of personal perspective, within the course, you become part of the HCRI department, which has a lot of opportunities should you want to take them.
It's just made me feel so much more in touch with the world around me. And I think learning Spanish at the same time has obviously connected me to the Spanish-speaking side of the world. Also just having so much free reign on the course, and like any module that you choose, you can kind of take it in whichever way you're passionate about, which has been really important.
So a student that comes to Manchester would probably be quite brave. The kind of topics that you would study on IDMHR aren't the typical kind of things that you would study at A-level. So we require a leap of faith really from students to have that kind of foresight to go beyond the traditional subjects.
I would 100% recommend this course to anyone who's interested in learning about the world around them and the issues that happen in the wider global context around us. I know that disaster management and humanitarian response aren't necessarily topics that you've covered or even heard of at GCSE or A-level, but personally I did English, Maths and Theatre Studies A-level, so nothing to do with this, and I still love the course. I get so much out of it and it's given me a very clear future plan for my career afterwards.